Why can't you pay? It's your pleasure.
What we're talking about is simply to have access to nature on people's doorsteps.
Without paying. You don't want to
that's right.
pay.
No, we
Why
don't.
don't you want to pay?
That lovely man was Francis Fulford. He's a landowner who appears in a new documentary about land reform called Our Land. His family have owned their land, around 3,000 acres or so, for 800 years. 92% of English land is not legally accessible to you, unless you happen to be a big money landowner.
If you held land, you were somebody. You held no land, you were no one. This is my garden, and it's fucking big.
Speaking to landowners and activists, the film Our Land poses a very simple question. Why shouldn't you have the right to roam in the English countryside?
We got in touch with Francis, and he was very happy to present his view and his opinions on land. And he might seem quite extreme to some people, but Francis is someone who has had family who've owned land for a long period of time, and also kind of very much understands rural traditions and country's way of life. And I also think represents probably the views of a lot of people who wouldn't dare to say what Francis says. So I think Francis was an interesting character for that sense, because he gave an opinion about the real kind of fears, which I think come with the view of what would happen if a right to roam was to come through. The places where people want to walk and can walk are kind of obviously we have lots of footpaths across the country, and we have national parks. But I mean, if you're in the countryside and a lot of the kind of places you want to get to, or a beautiful bit of woodland, I mean, often those places are kind of private, or you can't get there, they're all fenced off. But managing the countryside and managing the kind of pathways, the networks, that is a big job. And I think one of the most important things that the Right to Roam are saying is that they want responsible access, and that access comes with a code of conduct, countryside code, which they have up in Scotland, which is a very simplified set of rules that you need to follow if you want to be in the English countryside or the Scottish countryside. And I think the main problem is that we've just had such a lack of education as a country about how to be in the outside, or how to respect nature and how to look after it. So of course there's a massive fear if you give people more access that nature will potentially be damaged. But then also there's the pushback on that is that we're one of the lowest biodiversity countries in Europe, and that's also been on the watch of landowners and farmers.
In Scotland, the public does actually have a right to roam. Do we think the government in England might give us the same rights?
I think the Right to Roam campaign have been very good in their kind of political activism in terms of engaging people and making people understand what they're potentially missing and lost. But the reality is, for anything to move forward, it does still need to be a conversation between the landowners, the government bodies, and the people who are kind of fighting for this access, because that's how it happened in Scotland.
I think with the right support and education, there's no reason why people can't take care of the countryside. It's our land. Why should only the rich enjoy it?